I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible. Jew, Gentile, black man, white. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that.
Hello, this is the At Random Podcasts, and I am your host, Andy Coutron, or Codron, however you may please to say it. How do you like that?
How are you supposed to pronounce your name?
How am I supposed to what?
How do you pronounce your name?
Codron.
Okay, that's your name then. Don't let people change your names just because they can't pronounce it.
Alejandro, be quiet.
Shut the fuck up, mate. My point in case.
She's so mean today.
No, I'm just saying because as a person that has a name that is
exotic.
You can't say that. You can't say that.
That
You
you
can't say exotic.
that you pronounce in a certain way, when people can't pronounce it, it pisses me off and they try to
Like
change
me.
my name. Well, that's why I sometimes have to ask, because you never call me by my name.
Because it's hard to say. Get a normal name.
Yeah, but that's why I sometimes need to ask, do you really know my name?
You've been married to this woman
It's hard
for
to say.
years, and you think her name is hard to say.
She has
Then what
too
the
many names and it's hard to say.
Yeah, she has too many names because you call her so fucking many.
No, she literally has 4 legal names. Like her passport, her name was too long for a passport, so they stopped her at the gate. Like, your name doesn't fit on the ticket. We can't read your passport or whatever. Make sure this is you. Because she's South American. She has 2 first names and 2 last names. And it's like, my God, just pick one. One of
Oh,
each.
so it's like your dad and your mom, both their last names? Is it some kind of deal like that? Okay.
And
yeah.
their first names. It's literally her mum and her dad. They were very creative with the naming.
Yeah. Well, when in Rome, I guess. I don't know. But what do you think of that intro? Was that a little too soft? Was that a little...
Shut the fuck up, Andy, and get on with it.
You sounded like you had a gun pointed to your head.
I don't know. I didn't feel it. I didn't feel it. I didn't feel the intro, Ali.
Well, that's a you problem, not a me problem.
Well, let's make it a you problem then. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the At Random Podcast. I am
love
Andy.
Discord.
Of course,
Because it just cut you off.
See? Now it is a you problem. Now you have the frustrations, and I have the sensibility of talking continuously without knowing what I'm going to say next. That being said, I have 2 co-hosts here this evening. Their names are, nobody knows what her actual name is. We call her Batman. Also, we call her Ali. How are you doing? How's your week been? How's your surgery been?
Yeah, better. Recovering.
Pulled any gross stitches from your body this week, Ali? Could you maybe elaborate on what happened there when you called me?
Yeah. I had my gallbladder removed last Tuesday. 2 Tuesdays?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, like 12 days ago.
A while ago, yeah. And then I called, eventually I was like, I probably should get them removed. They're starting to get really itchy. Called the nurse, and she was so rude, and I booked a time. But then in the evening, I was like, I can do this myself. So I decided to do it myself.
Mm.
And the reason you did it was because the nurse was rude on the phone,
Yeah.
right? So you were like, fuck this
Yeah.
bitch, I'll do it myself.
And because I was bored, so.
And then you took Andy
Yeah.
along for the ride, I take it.
Yeah.
No, I was pissed at you, that's why I called Andy.
She didn't call me and then show me, but she showed me what she described as the stitches, what I noticed to be fucking holes in her body, because she was cutting them out and shit like that, and it was fucking gross, and she
There's
was
no
bored. And wanted to-
holes.
They looked like holes.
Trust
from
me,
where
Ali, I
was
know
sitting.
there's at least 5. 7, actually.
I'm not even gonna get into that. But of course, we were also joined by that lovely voice and those lovely comments, which were made by Alex. He's from Australia, a land that doesn't exist.
No,
Somehow
I'm an
he's still Yeah, he's still telling us it exists.
But I left Australia or the show because
yeah,
like they didn't pay me enough, so I went on strike and I left.
dude, I saw something so cool the other day about Australia, like the Aboriginals using monkeys to get to like fresh water.
Using monkeys?
Like, yeah, they're literally like they put like this salt lick stone inside a tree trunk, and the monkey tries to get the salt lick stone.
But we don't have monkeys.
Wait, that might have been Africa then.
Yeah, I think it was in Africa. We don't have monkeys.
Is it a big difference between Africa and Australia?
Yeah, if you remove the poorness, they're kind of the
Oh
same.
my
I guess so, yeah.
It's true.
Hey, it's
I don't
really
make
not.
the world. It's true.
It's really not, because your country is rich, but the people aren't. Have you ever been to Adelaide?
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of drunk, pregnant teenagers walking around the street, and that's about it. You can't tell me that are riches.
It's like every city on Earth. Come on, have you watched MTV in the last 25 years?
Oh, yeah. My name is Cheryl. I'm 16 years old, and I'm pregnant as fuck. My favorite flavor of popsicle is dick.
That
It's
black
like all
one.
that shit. Yeah.
My daddy was in the KKK. Just to fuck with him, I fucked black guys.
Dude, like people would call us liars for saying this, but there were actually shows like that, weren't there?
Yeah, don't they still
Yep.
exist?
Yeah. I don't think they can still run
not
that.
really.
Yeah.
They're probably
Yeah.
mellowing out. Yeah, true. Was it 16 and pregnant or something?
Yeah.
That's still
something
running
like
though.
that.
But
My teenage bride or some shit.
my sweet 16.
Sweet
Teenage
16, but that's such a
bride.
Rich Valley girl thing.
That's my teenage bride.
Well, an 18-year-old is a teenager.
Cancelled the fastest cancelled fucking show on TV. My Teenage Bride. Just commercial of the new show, My Teenage Bride. The show immediately gets
It's
cancelled.
legal to marry, I think, someone from 16 years or older as long as you have their parental permission.
Yeah, I think it's legal to marry somebody in the Vatican City from the ages of 12 as well. Like, that doesn't make it right. Yeah, look it up. It's a law. Ali is looking at me very funny, but Vatican laws with children and sex and like odd shit. Actually, this isn't too far from what we're talking about today, which I'm gonna get into right now.
You mean religion in general?
Yeah, it's just a bunch
Flying
of
spaghetti monster
pedophiles.
didn't do anything.
Yeah, well, there's at least no pedophilia there, but like all
I don't
the
know.
other religions,
What if
almost.
the
I
pasta
guess.
strainer was just a giant glory hole?
Then I
We
would
don't know.
be in that religion. All right. Well, I want to paint you guys a small picture. So go along with a ride on this one, because there once was a man named Randall. And like we just talked about, Randall liked them young. In fact, Randall liked them so young that when he became 18, his future wife would still be in daddy's nutsack for about 25 years. When they ended up getting married, he was 43 years older than his wife. Now, Randall was a boat captain who operated on the Potomac River and suffered from religious mania. Have you guys ever heard about that? Religious mania?
Nope.
No?
No,
heard of
not
it.
directly, but
Yeah, I guess you could sum up some images of what that is, but I went ahead and looked it up. It's living under a different name called hyper-religiosity. And it is a psychiatric disturbance in which a person experiences intense religious beliefs or episodes that interfere with normal functioning. So basically, hyper-religiosity, which is a wonderful word for my tongue,
So
it
it's
generally...
like religious schizophrenia.
Yeah, sort of. It generally includes abnormal beliefs and a focus on religious content or even in some cases, atheistic content, which interferes with work and social functioning. So basically, it's me screaming about aliens. I genuinely wondered about this.
So they're like those nutters that like stand in the central station, like, "Oh God and Jesus, you're a slut! Like
exactly.
you're going to hell, bitch!" And like,
It's if it interferes with your day-to-day work, if it like interferes with your normal life, you could possibly have religious mania, which I guess back in the day would have been a bigger thing than now.
You still see them. We have the Jesus lady in Stockholm that chases around kids, like she chases.
Yeah, but
kids.
I'm not talking about the guys that are preaching on the sidewalk. I'm actually
No, she's
talking
not
about
preaching.
the guys
She's telling them that they're going to hell.
Oh yeah. No. But it's not even that. It's when it interferes with your normal being. So they wouldn't. If you would go to, for example, if you would go to work and somebody just says the word God, and then you go on that tirade for like 30 minutes and you lose focus on your job, you don't give a shit about your job anymore, talking about that because it's more important than your job, then that is
or it's
religious
like
mania.
your work uniform was like mixed cloth, and you're like, I can't wear that because the Bible says you can't mix like cloth.
Yeah, it interferes with your day-to-day life, or even like social functions, or like generally just sitting on a train and screaming at people because they don't want to believe in aliens.
That's Jesus lady.
Mm-hmm.
She literally, all she does is run around in Stockholm screaming at people.
If she does not have a job and that is all she does, then that woman is...
Her name is Jesus lady, and that's how she's known.
Yeah, but if that's all she does, then she's genuinely suffering from a psychiatric disturbance, and she should be put in a padded cell, probably.
Yup.
Locked in the Vatican.
My friend scared the shit out of her once, though.
What'd you do?
Oh, because we were little emo kids back in the day. I wasn't that bad, but my friends, they were like, they full gear emo goths.
Ali was such a loser.
They started to get screamed by a Jesus lady, and they just like pretended they were making like a like a satanic ritual. She almost pissed her pants running away. They just started chanting shit, and she was like, run away.
Kids can be so cruel.
Yeah, because it's not cruel telling, like, just randomly screaming to families that they're going to hell in the middle of the city. Like, I'm sorry, like.
But that's her day job. I mean, she's just doing what she does. But I did wanted to say, if I do sound a little off-brand today, it is because I've been almost puking the entire day. And I'm not kidding. If you need a reason to join the Discord server, link in the description down below. It's to possibly see me puke during this episode.
What an old man.
Dude, I'm not kidding. There is a big possibility because I never do this podcast without a beer, and I have been on the verge of puking the entire fucking day. I don't know what it is. I've shat myself almost 5 times. And there is a slight possibility of me puking.
Do you know what it is?
Yeah, it's called being a fun personality.
No, it's called being a father with kid bugs.
Yeah, I don't know if that's that. I think it's just like a flu
his
thing
kids to get
just
drunk
going around.
And now his body is like, oh, what have you done to me? You haven't drunk this much for forever. You got to shit and puke it all out.
That's not true. That's not true. I drink on the regular.
Yeah, I know. Explains a lot of your behaviors.
No, but all right. So Randall Fish, we were talking about, and Randall Fish died at a comfortable age of 80 due to a heart attack, but not, of course, before blessing this world with 4 lovely offspring, and they were called Edwin, Walter, Annie, and Hamilton.
What is this, like some fucking like Shakespearean play?
No, this is not a Shakespearean play. You'll get a gist of what is going on a little bit. Now, the last one, this Hamilton, gaining some infamy throughout his lifetime. In fact, he is the subject of the upcoming 2 episodes. This episode, by the way, might be a little bit shorter because it's very difficult to find the exact information about shit that I wanted to find. I did my very best, but today we're going to talk a little bit about the youth of Hamilton Howard Fish, formerly known or otherwise known as Albert Fish. He has a couple of other names, which I'm going to run a little bit.
How many people
run
did he
about
kill?
a little
Wait,
bit.
I'm so confused. Wasn't it Randall Fish?
This is the kid.
Okay, but he started talking about the
You're
first, and he was
looking
a fish.
down at your phone. You're not paying attention to the hungover sick man. Pay attention.
Yeah.
He said
made
he
me
had
throw up.
4 offspring. One of them called
Yeah,
Hamilton.
I know that.
Yeah, this is
in
Hamilton.
Hamilton.
Yeah.
Hamilton, also known as Albert.
Yes, okay, but that's what I was more curious who we're focusing on, the father or the kid. That was what I was
Well,
wondering.
He said.
You're gonna find that out a little bit later, to be fair. So just hold on to your bra straps, Ali, and I'll tell you
Don't
about it a
have a
little
bra
bit
on.
later. Now, if the name Albert Fish doesn't ring any bells, then I am afraid that this is going to be a very, very dark couple of episodes for you, because Albert wasn't like other children. One could say he was somewhat troubled, quote unquote. This all had a rhyme and a reason, of course, which is why I wanted to run through his childhood before getting into the later life details on what he did and stuff that he did, earning him the nicknames. And here, pay attention, Ali, it's coming up. He earned the nicknames the Gray Man.
Mm-hmm.
He was known as the Boogeyman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you have to have that Boogeyman, you know, something ain't right with you.
Mm-hmm.
But he was also known as the Werewolf of Wisteria, the Moon Maniac, the Brooklyn Vampire, and of course, the all too famous Ham and Eggs. And that, I know it's a weird one. I did put it in because I thought that was such a weird detail. But if that name, Ham and Eggs, was a nickname he hated with a passion, because his actual birth-given name was Hamilton Howard Fish. But since kids called him Ham and Eggs, Hamilton Ham and Eggs, now he opted to be called Albert after a dead relative, even going as far as to pushing on people and just telling people he was named Albert Fish later on in his life. But he desperately wanted to get rid of that nickname. Unfortunately, thanks to me and a lot of other people that do good research, it still haunts him to this day, because I'm still talking about it on the show. So fuck you, Albert Fish.
Fuck you, Ham and Eggs.
Yeah, fuck you. He was born on the 19th in 1870. His father
On the
would
19th
die
of what?
the 19th of May.
Oh, okay.
I said May 19th. His father would die 5 years later, leaving his mother financially unstable and having to look after 4 children by herself. So, as you has heard, this was 1870. These weren't the best of times. These weren't the worst of times. For women, however, and especially widows, not the best time ever. Kudos to the father, though, because Albert Fish was born in 1870. The father died 5 years later, and so within 5 years, he had 4 more children.
And he was 43 years older than the mother, right?
He was 80 years old when he died.
Yeah, so this guy
between 75 and 80,
His dick was just fucking juicing.
stuffed that turkey like a motherfucker.
He was basting the shit out of her.
Yeah, and just
Ali, you
come
look
to
so happy.
think- yeah, you look. Do you need a bucket as well?
No.
Look, he just cream-filled her donut. What's wrong with that? He did.
Yeah.
Find
He did.
another 75-year-old man that can get it up enough to make 4 kids.
Hey,
There's
sometimes
unfortunately plenty that can do that.
Nah.
Sometimes you go for experience, Ali. 75 is a lot of pussy under the belt, okay?
And you know, the old fish, he was experienced.
Oh, and she was just ripe for it. She was like mid-30s something. Like, she was just fucking aching for that 75-year-old cock. Oh, God, I'm gonna throw up. Oh, God. Well, anyway, so his father died within the first 5 years of his life, which left mommy a little financially unstable and having to look after 4 children by herself. And like I said, remember, these were times where a woman wasn't exactly appreciated in a working environment. So when a woman was a widow, she had but a few options. She could go out whoring, selling her ass for cash. Actually, not much of change in that regard.
Given her recent track record of popping out kids, probably not recommended with no contraception.
But we still do it to this day. We just call it OnlyFans now. So, like, this place is full of widows.
Jesus. Lighten up, Ali.
You really have a death wish, don't you?
Yeah.
That would make Vicky a widow, and he doesn't want her to feature in the story.
Well, I'm burying something in her. Anyway. Option number 2 was basically just to find another man. And that was about it. That was the only 2 options women of that time genuinely fucking had. But she was a woman of determined. Like she knew what she was doing. And not seeing the forest to the trees, she chose a different approach. So what does one do when you have a couple of kids all by yourself and you need to cut costs?
Sell the kids.
You chuck them the fuck out. That's right. Smartest decision of her life.
Definitely. She lived a happy life after that.
No, actually, this was because there was no other option. I have to say it like it is, because she would take back her kids when she was financially more stable.
Did she do it like The Witcher 3 style, like putting candy out in the swamp to take them to the witches?
I don't think so. I just think she bought candy. She just found a better way to make money and, like, you know. But his mother left sweet little innocent Albert at the doors of St. John's Orphanage in Washington. And, well, there's a lot you can say about St. John's, but that it was a good orphanage is definitely not the case. Very soon after his arrival, little Albert, I think at that time, was like under the age, I think it was like 5, 6, 7 years old, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He pretty fastly started to wet his bed for some reason.
Wonder why.
Yeah, why will become apparent pretty soon here. Because St. John's wasn't your regular Annie song-filled orphanage. It was a place where teachers would regularly punish the boys living there, thereby making them strip naked and whip and beat them in front of each other.
As you do.
Hey, that'll whip him into shape. It's been proven time and time again that physical abuse works.
Yeah, not for Albert though, because of this treatment, Fish developed a taste of like sadomasochism, and he would get erections and even derive pleasures from the beatings. Next to that, shower time was a very fun time. Remember, these are ages where these kids are being shaped into the men they're going to be, seeing regular beatings, getting erections from sadomasochism. Not only that, but Yeah, pretty much. He did a lot of butt stuff, as Alex is doing right now as well. Was that a little tootie toot?
It was.
That little tootie toot.
It was.
Oh, that's cute. But yeah, Albert Fish quickly became homosexually inclined, I would say. I couldn't call it that he was born gay. But yeah, what he like encountered in that scenario, in that orphanage, having to deal with the bullying, and then the kids there, the older kids would rape him and shit like that. The beatings. Yeah, his defensing mechanism just kicked into fucking sixth gear.
Sounds like an exemplary place to send children.
Well, the thing is, I did a little research on this, and this is exactly what it was. It is his brain's rewiring certain fucking things to where it's pleasurable. That's basically what happens. Making a bad situation, your brain is basically making a bad situation into a tolerable situation.
Trying to make
because
it normal,
when you're
right?
getting,
Like, this is fine.
yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah, because when you're getting a beating, it hurts. But when you're getting a beating and your body reacts to it in a pleasurable way, or your brain sends signals throughout your body transferring that into pleasure.
Yeah, well, probably because if he didn't know what affection and stuff in love was, he somehow associated the beatings with something pleasurable, and sometimes like a lot of, I know in a lot of cases when children get abused, they see that, they take that as affection from their parents if they're getting beaten.
Yeah, they do it because they love me.
Yeah. It's
But
remarkable how the
there's
brain
usually
works
a
in that
bunch
sense.
of like the abuse you're talking about is usually within a close quarters situations where people live close by each other.
No,
And
just
there's
in general.
not as many. Yeah, but I don't think what you're referring to is an orphanage situation. This is a unique situation. I don't think these aren't like 5 or 6. Like these are a couple of dozen kids
Yes.
living there. So I don't know if you could manipulate that into love. I just think it was what it was.
But for him, it was like sexual pleasure in the end.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But what I
Yeah.
mean is, like, you never know how the brain is going to react in any situation.
Mhm.
And especially if you get exposed to something traumatic over and over again. The brain does anything to try to protect itself, to try to protect the entity of the person. And that can manifest in different ways. And that's, you never know. Like, some people have DID, what is called when they
Multiple persons.
usually
Was it split personality?
Yeah, it was called split personality before. I can't remember the exact term now. It's called, the shortened term is DID. Dissociative
Dissociative
disorder.
Identity disorder.
Yeah,
Dissociative
so
identity
basically
disorder.
the brain as a young child experiences trauma and creates new personalities to try to protect. But that's one of the many ways the brain can protect itself from severe trauma.
Yeah.
Like, that's just one example.
Well, in his case, it was just like I tried to figure out what exactly went down in that orphanage, and because it was a state/church held orphanage, because basically around that time, church was state and state was church. Hard to believe, but that was the case. If people were getting married or people loved each other, like a priest would come to your house and just talk to you guys about it. That's how close like church and state was.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the case in America, but like for Belgium, it was definitely that way. Like the priest would know everybody in the street, and he would like go to random houses and just have a drink and talk to people and shit like that.
But
Like,
that's
that
how
was,
the world used to be back in the day, because obviously you didn't really have big communities like you have now. Like, that was probably the start just before the building of bigger cities.
Yeah.
Like massive
Yeah,
cities.
but
we have
and a
now.
lot of these orphanages like were church. I think as well because the church was like, the charitable
Well,
organization. right,
it
and
was
things like
called
that.
Saint John's.
Exactly.
So like,
But usually they ran orphanages, right? Because they're the charitable organization. They can take in the children. The good Christian donations. But they just like abuse the fuck out of them.
Yeah.
Treat them like shit.
Yeah.
They're just dirt.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah. So anyway, he like very quickly became a bedwetter, and also I found that he frequently escaped St. John's, but only to eventually end up back in the orphanage again. Like every time he did it, and there was a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
In 1880, Mrs. Fish, and this is what I talked about before. This is why I still wanted to put it in. Got a government job, and then she took back Albert in at the age of 9. Now, in 1882, a 12-year-old Fish began a relationship with a telegraph boy who introduced him to coprophagia, which is the
sex with a corpse.
No, that's
it's
poo.
the consumption of feces, and also urolagnia, which is basically drinking urine.
Why aren't these guys German? It would all make sense.
They might have been. But anyway, he began spending his weekends at local public baths, where he would watch boys younger than him undress.
But he was 12. There were different days back then.
He also became a prolific writer of obscene letters to women, I love this fact about him, finding targets in the classifieds ads. So you basically find people wanting to find love in the papers and then just write them these obscene fucking letters.
I've always wondered if those things were for real. Like, who's going to write to the newspaper?
As you fucking should know, like, well, we're gonna cover that in the next episode, but the way he wrote letters was I cannot give another word to this, graphic.
So in other words, she wasn't completely illiterate, at least.
Oh no, he was actually, well, it was his teachers that beat him. So you get a little English, then you get a little spanking.
Yeah, he's probably good because I don't know.
Yeah, basically, if he didn't fucking measure up to their expectations, he would beat the ever-loving shit.
And then he'd get an erection, so then they'd beat him some more.
Yeah, you would think he would love it that much to the point where he just didn't bother doing his homework and shit like that. But apparently he was a pretty solid student, and he was able to write and he's good with his hands as well, as we're gonna find out later. The Gray Man got some skill.
The old reach
He was
rounds.
a very skilled. Like later in his life, he would become a very skilled painter and decorator
of corpses.
Well, more of a chef connoisseur, one might say.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's pretty much, I would say, the amp up to what we're gonna talk about on next episode. Look, if you're faint of heart, which I don't think you are if you listen to this podcast, but still, if you are faint of heart, like, this is just the fucking begin. Like, this is just the start of this person's life. I want you to keep into account that pretty soon, when I start talking about his teenager years and everything that his young adult life and all that stuff, he's gonna start making his own choices. So you can imagine that somebody shaped in those environments isn't gonna turn out to be fucking Mr. Rogers. Let's call him that.
Well, I mean,
he's not gonna turn out to be Mr. Rogers. It's gonna be very fucking dark. It involves, I'm gonna say this, the affliction, or the how do you say it? Like when you genuinely love something, affection. The affection he feels towards kids remains throughout his entire life. So if that's a trigger for you or whatever, yeah, now he's in his younger years, and it's like, it's a kid that's just beaten up, but pretty soon in the next episode, he's going to start making his own decisions. So I just wanted to put it out there for the people that are triggered by that. Maybe not listen to the episode after this one. Stay away from it because,
We put out a warning
gets-
content on the beginning of the episode. So if you are,
Probably.
yeah,
I'm just gonna say I found some letters he wrote.
Oh God,
It's not good. It's genuinely
can't
not
imagine
good.
it is.
Yeah. So before I throw up, just join us on next week's episode. If you want to be there next week, maybe I'll throw up again. And if you want to be there for that, then click the link in the description down below because that will bring you to our Discord server where you can watch us live and, of course, free. Talk to us and chat to us and stuff like that. You might see funny shit.
Watch Andy
Sometimes
puke.
you might not.
Look at Ali's face every time we tell funny jokes because she's not funny and doesn't understand comedy.
It's not that she's not funny. She's just...
The wrong type of funny. The boring one. All right,
She's
Batman.
just emo.
What is the Instagrams?
so at the Instagram we are at @random.podcast, so at.random.podcast.
And on Twitter, we are AT_randompod.
There you go. And on that lovely note, I'm going to leave you guys. And of course, like I said again, if next week is too hard for you, we are going to put a trigger warning in front of that episode, just so you know. But yeah, if that is not your thing, just don't stop by. And if you're a sick motherfucker, then I gladly invite you to listen to it anyway, because it's real history. And I cannot shy away from the facts that didn't happen in real life.
Yeah. And if that episode is too much, we do have a catalog of a lot of other episodes. Maybe listen to something a bit more
Oh,
jolly.
yeah.
Yep.
We did an episode all about pooping. If you want to listen to
Yeah, the
that,
history
maybe
of
that's your
shit.
thing.
That's always a good one.
Yeah. Yep. There you go. Well, on that note, once again, we'll leave you guys. Thank you so much for listening. And I give you a little hidey ho. I give you a lighty hidey hi. And a bye.
Bye.
Bye.